Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this one day? I'm already, excuse me, I'm already nervous. I pressed the go live button. There's a big button on my screen. Nothing happened this morning. Hope all is well. I mean, I'm obviously speaking to you now, and I can see that people are watching, but that's not a good start to a new week. And it is a new week and a new month. In fact, it's such a new week and a new month. You see this card here? I can't show you the other side. I use this to keep track of who is winning in the league table of the Mystery Machine. There's nothing on that side. I know what the Mystery Machine is, and that's on the other side. I can't show you that, but it is that time. It is a new month. So happy February, everybody. Let's have a look. Chris Ford says, morning troops, morning Chris. Let me press the button while I'm here. I know Jim Turner is here somewhere. I know Mark Whiting is here as well. There they both are. Dan Cullen and Gary Muirhead were here ahead of time. And Gary says, yeah, fasted 2 days of the week, Saturday and Sunday. Why is that? I woke up Saturday morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and thought, right, I've got a whole weekend now to do things. And I blinked, and it was gone, and it was over and done with, and I'd done absolutely bugger all. Let's have a look. Dan Cullen is here. He was here, in fact, at 9:43. That's me. Let's have a look. Good morning, guys. Looking forward looking good today, rather. A bit cold. It is a bit cold, but not frosty, thankfully. And Alex Latham is here. We can start the show. And 2 minutes late coming on YouTube again. That's weird. Very weird. I mean, I did press the go button a little bit later than usual, but only by about 10 seconds or so. Anyway, it is that time, I think. Without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road because we have much to get through. So here we go. I'm going to go over to the chat before I go any further. Where are we? Yeah, Dan Cullen saying the weekend flew over and done with another 30k steps on Saturday. You must be a very fit guy. 30,000 steps is a lot. That'll be about my daily while I'm at Bauma. Talking about that later. Never enough time over the weekend to get enough work done. No, you're absolutely right. Do you think Mr. Trump's tariffs will hit us here in the UK? Indirectly, I think they probably will. I mean, I would imagine everybody that is selling anything to America at the moment is probably looking very, very closely at that. It feels horribly like he's cut his nose off to spite his face, to be perfectly honest. I know he has an issue with Mexico, and I know he has an issue with China, but to impose tariffs against Canada, one of its greatest supporters, I'm not so sure about that. And particularly when you think about the construction industry, I mean, I know there's more to Canada than this, but Canada supplies an awful lot of the timber and lumber that is used in the American construction industry. So, yeah, I would imagine they are going to feel it. They really are going to feel it. And it's the knock-on effect as well. It's the knock-on effect of the fact that Trudeau is now going to impose tariffs on America, and it's just a vicious cycle that keeps going round and round. Dan Cullen says, I think it's about 12 to 14 miles. It would be about that. We used to do, I'm trying to remember the distance we did. It was about 10 miles. No, a bit less than that, about 9 miles, I think, when we used to go down to Eastbourne. And I think that was about 18,000 steps, something like that. Lord Bamford seems to have played a blinder with his new American factory. Yes, he does. And speaking of American factories and JCB, we'll be back with them in just a moment. But yes, listen, you all, I don't need to state my feelings on Mr. Trump, but just incredibly, incredibly divisive. And as far as I can see, for no good reason. And it's also short-termism. You can't help but think that whoever ends up replacing him, even if it's one from his own side, which I very much doubt, but whoever ends up replacing him will just reverse all of this. So it's going to be a short-term thing. There you are. Gary Muir says, I don't go that far in my car. Why do you think JCB set up a factory in the USA? Well, good point. I mean, partly for that, but also I think the Americans do quite like the notion of locally manufactured as well. It gives them a warm and fuzzy feeling. Yes, it is Monday. I'm going to start the show now. It is Monday, the 3rd of February. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, John Deere, speaking of Americans and possibly tariffs, John Deere unveils its latest compact track loader. JCB and the world's favourite backhoe loader. 1 in 2 backhoe loaders sold around the world has got a JCB badge on it, including in America, by the way. How Caterpillar Parts keeps mines moving. There's more to Dynaset than meets the eye, and we're going to be looking ahead to Bauma once again in the company of those fine folks at Volvo. Plus, in my morning monologue today, the widespread, devastating, and yet unspoken repercussions of a construction or demolition company collapse. But before we get to all that, we do have today's mystery machine to contend with. So, back after this. I'll take that away for a second. I'm just going to go back to Dan Cullen says, and I think we're going to be back in the EU before you know it. Brussels are putting UK in a corner in regards to free movement. We no, we put ourselves in that corner. We did. We painted ourselves into a corner and then looked around and went, oh bugger. Yes, only 28 days in this month too. Yes, after last month, which lasted for at least a year, this month is going to be a short one. You're going to blink and miss February, March before you know it. So, mystery machine. I've done it again. I've had the paintbrush out, and I've covered it up. That blue there, or that turquoise, is not that machine's natural colour. As always, I'm looking for a make and a model, and we want to see who's going to get their name on the name and the 3 points on the table for the first contest of the month. That's what we're looking for. Peter McKenna has just joined us. Good morning, Peter. How are you doing, my friend? Hope you're fitting well. Let me press his button. Jim Turner. Jim Turner says, anyone can have free movement. All you need is a dinghy. And I'm asking for a friend here. How do the Coast Guard in France, for example, how do they feel about small boats going that way? Would they send us back? I'm not planning to do it because it's a fool's errand, but has anyone asked that question? I know we have an objection to little boats coming this way. How do our European counterparts feel about us going that way? Peter McKenna, he's never going to let me forget this. Have you got the right machine and model number today, Mark? Yes, Yasaki Git. Yes, I have. I promise. I've looked, I've checked. I mean, even down to checking I haven't checked the year of manufacture, but I do know exactly what I'm doing. What do we got? Dan Cullen is going for a Doosan DX145. It is not. Gary Muirhead has gone for the Komatsu PC210-8. It's not, but in terms of ballpark, he's in it. Our friend Mick has just arrived. Good morning to you, Mick. How you doing, mate? Hope you're fitting well. You might want to duck the morning monologue today because it starts with references to West Ham, and I know how you feel about that. Dan Cullen says, could you imagine us going to France in a dinghy? I wonder. Peter McKenna says, sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. Don't knock sarcasm. I've built an entire career on it. Are you planning to leave us alone this month while you go on your birthday treat? No, I'm not. I might be a little bit more chilled than usual. I mean, how much more chilled can a man get? I might. I'm not taking the time off. It's just, what's the point? It's just another birthday. I know it's a notable one, but it's. And Mick says, and if shit was wit, you'd be full of it. I'd love to argue with him, but he's absolutely on the money with that. Let me take that away very quickly. Now we've got guesses aplenty here. Peter McKenna has just said, JCB, is that something you've regretted buying, I wonder? Or is that a mystery machine? Don't know. Chris Ford is going for the Cat 6020B. Nope. Jim Turner, JCB 245. It's not. Gary Muirhead getting a little bit closer with the Komatsu PC 450. Ken Hatcher goes for the Komatsu, or Big Komatsu. Yes. Gary Muirhead is going for the PC 360. Dan Cullen go for the PC 1250. It's none of those things. Unfortunately, well, depending how you look at it, your first guess, Gary, has led the reigning champion to the right answer. We've got just one little bit of boom dipper joint, and he's already got the answer. Let's have a look. Where are we? There you are. Dan Cullen is going for the PC 950-11. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and I can prove it to you. There we are. Let me take Dan off the screen very quickly before I congratulate him in full. That's how I coloured it. That's how it's supposed to look. PC 950-11. And I'll leave that on the screen so that Peter McKenna can check to be 100% sure that that was exactly what it was. The PC 950. There you are. Let me write down. I might as well just fill this in advance. Dan Cullen, 3 points on a daily basis. Gary Muirhead says, bloody Dan, well done. Who you got tonight? Chelsea, I think. Yes. I shall be sat on the sofa with a big cushion over my head, urging somebody in our very, very porous defence to, as the kickoff begins, run up the pitch and break Cole Palmer in half. At that point, we may be in with a shout. Apart from that, not a bloody hope. The pipe and top ram gave it up. There you are. And Chris Ford saying, well done, Dan. I'm starting to believe he's actually got a camera in this office. So when I wrote down the right answer this morning, which you can almost see there, I think he was watching. So yes, going back to things. Oh, I'll remind you of the question of the day just very quickly. Here we go. Yeah, so today's question of the day comes from our resident quizmaster, Mr. Gary Muirhead. He sent this to me over the weekend, and I have to say it's been troubling me ever since. He asks, what is the thing you regret buying? I'm going to use a couple of his examples here. Have you ever crawled home from the pub and ordered yourself 1,000 Mars bars? I've never done that. Been tempted, but never done that. Have you ever bought a car on impulse and regretted it? I'll come back to that. Have you ever screwed up an online shopping order? I'll come back to that as well. So many, many, many moons ago, there was a garage. It's not there anymore, but there was a car showroom, used cars, not a million miles from, literally about half a mile from where I lived. And I said, I said to my wife, I've just been driving past there, and they've got a Porsche 944. Now, it was a Porsche 944. It was about 18, 19 years old at the time. So it was an old car. Didn't have a huge number of miles on the clock, but it was Porsche 944. And it was one of the cars I fancied when I was a kid or a youngster, when I first started work. It was the era of the yuppie. And I always thought, a Porsche 944. Can't afford the 911, but a 944 would be very nice. And it was up for sale for $5,000. And I went home to the missus and I said, there's a Porsche down the road for $5,000. She said, well, treat yourself. So I did. And for about 6 months, I was the dog's doodahs. I loved it. And then after about 6 months, you wake up and realize, actually, it's quite cramped, quite smelly, and quite expensive to run and stuff. That being said, I did drive it down to the south of France once, and that was an absolute blast. So I do regret that one. The other one that I regret, which is more down to my stupidity, and I mentioned online shopping, I was tasked. We were having family lunch on a Sunday once, and I was tasked with doing the online shopping, which is something I don't do very often. So I went online and, joint of beef and, 15 pounds of potatoes and all of the trimmings and everything else. And I managed to order for a family of 6. 1 carrot, a single carrot between 6. My family still remind me of it right now. Peter McKenna says, was that the 2022 model or the 2023-24? It was the 22, actually. I'm making that up. I don't actually know. Question of the day, thing you regret buying. Jim Turner said, where is it? Question of the day. CDs. Used to buy loads. They weren't cheap and now worth cool. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I don't know if you're the same. I've still got mine. They're not on display. They're not anywhere that I can access them because I literally don't possess a device on which I can play them. But I've still got CDs. I've not only got my own, but I've got some that I inherited from my dad as well. Mick says 3 engagement rings and wedding rings. Yes. I mean, I've only ever bought one set of either of those, but yeah, there are times. Question of the day. I regret buying an old Ford Transit. It was rotten in the undercarriage. When I went for the MOT, yes. I think cars are a thing of regret, aren't they? I do remember my wife bought an old Mini. It was her first car. She literally just passed her driving test. We were only engaged at the time. Bought an old Mini, an old green, a real clapped-out old Mini. And she phoned me one day and said, I've broken down. And I arrived and I said, what's that? Oh, it just conked out. Have you put petrol in it? Oh. So I put petrol in it, got it going. Couple of weeks later, she phoned me up. She started broken down again. There must be something wrong with this car. I said, have you put petrol in it? So I went out and sorted that out. Anyway, a couple of weeks after that, she phoned me up. She said, I've got a problem with the car. And I said, petrol? She said, no, the floor just fell out. Yeah, the floor fell out. Peter McKenna says, I bought a car and wish I'd never bothered. Bought a Fiat, fix it again tomorrow. Yes, indeed. And it seemed a bargain from Evans Howshaw. Took it for MOT 12 months later, only to find out it was basically a cut and shut with forklift holes in the chassis to boot. Wasn't a happy man driving your kids around in it. Yeah, they are. They are a nightmare, cars, aren't they? Question of the day. I'm the same as Jim, have hundreds of CDs and now have nothing to listen to them with. Yeah, we do have a record deck here in the house, and I've got vinyl that I occasionally play on that, but I've got cassette tapes around the place. Yeah. Fred Flintstone never complained about his floor. Yeah, you haven't met my wife. My wife is 4'11". There is no running for her. Her feet would be floating in the air. A cheap bath. Never. Have I ever bought a bath? Must have. I don't remember ever buying a bath. But there you are, Ken Hatcher with a lesson for life. Don't buy a cheap bath. Keep those coming. If you've ever bought anything that you've lived to regret, please let us know. While you're considering that, this. I am starting to wonder why I bother with the video part of this show. What with the preamble and the question of the day and the mystery machine, and then the morning monologue of the chat afterwards. That's the best part of an hour. These videos just kind of get in the way, but hey, that's where we are. First up today, we've got a John Deere compact track loader. I realise we don't get too excited about them over here, but trust me, there are Americans right now drooling at the prospect of a new John Deere compact track loader that looks like this. Yeah, very smart. So much to get through. Let's have a look. Peter McKenna. Let's start with Peter. Our lass's granddad bought loads of collector's plates, Royal Dalton, etc. Maybe cost £20 each. We have over 400 in our loft, and they're worth max £5 nowadays. Now, a quick update. Not that you need to worry about these things, but my father-in-law is not doing well in hospital. He really is not doing well at all. But he is one of those. He is a collector all around. Is it Dado Rail? You know, I mean, his house is full of collectibles. You know, Jubilee plates and royal wedding plates, and Lord alone knows what else. Absolutely worthless. And at some point, somebody He's going to have to get rid of them. Jim Turner says, I'll come back to this in a minute, actually, but loads of Technic separates with a 110 disc multiplier, but moved house 20 years ago, haven't got around to setting it up yet. It's only 20 years. It's all in the planning, I would say. Technics. My dad, I was an Akai man. I had a stack system. It was Akai. It was a 30 watts per channel, which seems small now. I mean, my iPhone's probably does that, but it was a big deal. Really was a big deal back in the day. But my dad had a Technics stack. And the best thing about my dad's Technics stack was the action on the cassette player. You pressed it and the front of it went. It was all smooth and slow. Oh, it was a beautiful thing. Mick says, I had a Humber Super Snipe. Always regretted selling it. If for nothing else, the seats were so bloody comfortable. Chris Ford says, a New Holland D1000 baler. Did that cause me some grief? I'm assuming it did. Bloody good machines. Quite a few of the YouTubers in America have them. They certainly do. Now, that's a tune, says Dan Cullen. I'm going to come back to Dan in just a moment. Ken Hatcher says, Trump, I'd buy one of them Deeres for his garden. Yeah, wouldn't that upset him? Because apparently there are bits and pieces that are being built by John Deere, but in Mexico. Yeah, Peter says, thoughts and prayers to you, Mark. Our lass's aunt died at end of last week, and we're all a tad distraught. I don't know whether I'm kind of clinging on a bit. As I said, we went to see Ruth's dad on Saturday, yeah. And in the nicest possible way, it feels like he's given up. You know, he's not eating and he's not, you know, he's half asleep half the time and he's very, very thin. You know, I just wish somebody would go in there and bloody shake him. It's not really my position to do it, but just give him a shake. It's, come on, buck your bloody ideas up. I don't know whether it's going to be too little, too late, but I'll keep you posted. I do need to go back to Dan Cullen because he said a thing that I do need to address. He says, question, who won the hot or not in 2024? I've dropped the ball multiple times. We did predictions for 2024, never reviewed them. We did no predictions for 2025, and I did promise that I was going to go back and review all of those machines that we declared hot or not in 2024 and to decide on a winner, and I never did that. In fact, I'm not even sure I saw it all the way through to the end and actually collated all of those. I can only apologise. I am but one man. I do need to do better, though. My apologies on that. What do we got here? Mick says, remember going to Ray Huggett's house? He showed me his complete set of Wedgwood, worth a fortune, Mick, he said. I had a look and saw the dishwasher safe print on the back. Didn't have the heart to tell him. Yeah. Jim Turner, antiques and collectible prices fluctuate massively over decades. Vintage classic tractors prices do the same. Just need to stay ahead of the trend. The problem with my father-in-law and his collecting is he doesn't seem to understand the notion of scarcity. Like when my kids were young, we used to go to McDonald's and, the Happy Meals, they always used to, they probably still do, used to come with a toy, and he used to keep them in the bag and put them away. One day, these will be worth a fortune. They'll be a collector's item. Yeah, but they've made 47 million of those. Just how collectible do you think they're going to be? Exactly the same. He's got mugs and plates for the Silver Jubilee. How many millions did they make? How many millions did they sell? How many are there still in circulation? Peter says that's exactly how Sarah's aunt went. Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, I've been here in the recent past, not so much with my dad, because my dad was very sudden, but my mum went into hospital having had a fall. And you could just basically see her wasting away. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but we were summoned to the hospital 2 years ago, almost to the day now. And we were told that basically the hospital had decided that there was nothing more they could do. She was beyond help, and she was basically going to die. And we obviously deeply upset and grudgingly accepted that was the way things were going to pan out. But they had to tell her. And she wasn't speaking towards the end, but she was conscious, and she was blinking and stuff like that. And they actually said to her, this is the end. are you okay with that? 2 blinks for yes. And she blinked twice and just basically it was like, I've got nothing left. And I'm starting to get that vibe with my father-in-law. Yeah, don't want to dwell on that too much. Chris Ford says, I've still got an Amstrad Music Center with linear tracking. Oh, my dad's Technic system. You know, you used to have not on his. You know, you used to have a 78 setting. He didn't have that, but he had a 33 and was it 33 and a 33? Was it 48? Was the other setting 45? 33 and 45 revs per minute. But on the side of his deck, there was a strobe, and there was grooves cut into the side of the turntable itself that as it was going round. And you tweak the speed very, very slightly. And once the strobing stopped, you were bang on the 33 or the 45. I don't suppose anybody would have noticed, but it was, Peter McKenna says, when you have a chance, Mark, go and look at our WhatsApp group. Oh, excuse me. I will do that. I'll do that in just a second because we do have more to show you, including the world's favourite backhoe immediately after this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yes, world's favourite backhoe loader. Now, some of you might remember, and I have to say, of all the audacious things I've seen JCB do over the years, parading some Union Jack painted backhoe loaders up and down the strip in Las Vegas during ConExpo is still a high point. No, rarely have I been more proud to be British, but they are the world's favourite backhoe. In fact, according to this video, or the title of this video, they're America's favourite backhoe as well. Take a look. Love it. Dan Cullen says, tune and tidy kit. They built 1 million backhoes now. That's something. Yeah, they've just produced their 1 millionth backhoe loader. I'm surprised. Maybe I need to read further. I'm surprised they haven't stated how far around the world 1 million backhoe loaders would extend. Quite a long way, I would say. Peter McKenna, less of a fan, says other brands are available. And he also says the Mechalak TLB 990 gives JCB a run for the money. Ken Hatcher says, in America, they have a better extender setup. Is that specific to America, or is that an option here? I don't know. Peter McKenna says, when you get a chance, go and have a look at the WhatsApp group. He sent me a link to a website for McDonald's collectibles. Turns out I may have been wrong on that. I may need to rethink my criticism of my father-in-law. Mick, lost on me, sat down Friday and Saturday to watch the rugby. Never been so peed off. It's got to be France and Ireland, but Scotland and Italy was a good game. I realise this will sound bad, but was there rugby this weekend then? Just don't care. Don't know the rules. Don't care at all. Just passes me by. Garvin, good morning, my old friend, over on Instagram, reminding me. Yes, he could see that my old addled brain was struggling. He says 33 and 45 were the speeds of the records, the albums and the singles. 78s were the real oldies. Got a few of those as well. They weren't mine, I hasten to add. One guy was there at the very beginning. It was interesting read, and family all got involved in working there. What's that? Yes. Thank you. I've just had to read back. Yeah, they managed to find one of the guys. What was he? 100 years old? I think he may have been 100 years old. If you go to the JCB website and have a look at this, to celebrate the 1 millionth backhoe loader being produced, Lord Bamford or Sir Anthony Bamford, Joe's son, had a bit of a do, and one of the guys that they invited along was actually involved in the making of one of the very, very early ones. Yeah. Peter says, did you know this, Mark? JCB 3CX backhoe loader was recognised by the Guinness World Book of World Records for completing a 26-day, 3,185-mile road trip across the United States. The fundraising journey beat the existing record for the longest journey in an excavator by 600 miles. I didn't know that. And are we convinced that a JCB 3CX is an excavator? Call me a pedant if you will. You wouldn't be the first. I was told by JCB there's no call for the outer extender set over here. I wonder. Dan Cullen says, remind me, Mick, as I must put $1 on Ireland. Are they good? They are. Do you know, even if I were to watch the rugby, I wouldn't be able to tell if they were good or not. We're back with Caterpillar and their mining parts. Not their private parts, their mining parts. Right after that.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Yeah, I think Mick's grandfather was a little cooler than mine. He says, got all my granddad's 78s, some great old jazz on them. The one 78 that I remember being in our collection was the 1812 Overture. It's a fine piece of music, but you wouldn't want to dance to it. On the JCB website, a quote, hydraulically reposition the excavator with the power slide feature. Is that you saying basically that this is an excavator? The 3CX is an excavator? Wow, where has the morning gone? Let's see. Such is the entertainment that we provide here. You don't even know. Mick says, it's a rugby thing. Go back to what you do best, like supporting that lot. Yes. Well, let's see if I'm wearing the West Ham shirt on tomorrow's show. I doubt it. You're right, Cat, mining parts. I mean, we know about their machines, but parts, they do that too.
Here in New South Wales, WestTrac supports two key sets of mining customers. We have coal miners largely here in the Hunter Valley, and then we have hard rock underground miners who are largely based in our western region. Bloomfields is one of our largest local customers here in New South Wales, largely a family-run business.
We predominantly use Caterpillar parts, new and reman. We have tried non-genuine in the past, but we keep coming back because time and time again, it proves itself. That's where the money is better spent. We get better life, we get better value and better support out of the OEM genuine parts.
We have all our own iron, so we're able to push the components further, create strategies to get the most life and the best cost per hour out of all of our components.
Caterpillar products are embedded in our business. The benefits we see is every day. It's not a one-off, it's the consistency is the key that gets our benefit.
Availability is definitely number one. When machines have downtime, that's obviously costing customers money and they're not pulling coal out of the ground. So our pool of inventory needs to be healthy and turning, but it also needs to be available when customers need it.
Oceana Gold is a fairly big customer with a large fleet. Productivity is very important for them, and for that reason they need the right part at the right time.
We're New Zealand's biggest gold mine, and in order to achieve what we want to achieve here, we run a fleet of some of the biggest equipment. Majority of that equipment is Caterpillar gear.
Caterpillar parts are designed to make sure the machine or component it has been fitted to is going to get the best life for that customer.
The advantage of using genuine Caterpillar parts is definitely the quality, availability, and the support that we get from the warranty.
The benefits of the Caterpillar genuine parts, whether they're new or reman, has been a part that's actually designed to do the work.
It's the quality of the parts, it's the quality of the Cat reman, it's the quality of the dealerships that are around the world that support that equipment, and it's the quality of the people that work within those dealerships and work with the customer to build good relationships that keep them coming back.
I'm just going to go over to Instagram because Garvin has just reminded me precisely why he and I get on so well. He says, is rugby the one with the sticks or the rackets? It could be either. I honestly don't know. Chris Ford reckons that the largest JCB or the largest JCB backhoe factory is in India. That's official now, is it? Yeah, I wonder. Dan Cullen says, great video. I agree. The way they pronounce Caterpillar. Yeah, nothing like a foreign accent, is there? Now, Peter McKenna to justify his claim that this world record-beating 3CX traversed America, he says, I think this is probably stolen direct from the JCB website. There's a reason a backhoe loader is known as a real all-rounder. They're versatile enough to take on a variety of tasks, a wide range of different attachments available for the loader and excavator. Use the excavator-mounted breaker alongside the loader shovel to quickly break and move material without the need to change over attachments. Remove the cost of additional machines with the multifunctional equipment. And if that weren't enough of an advert, he then goes on and says, the ultimate spec makes the 4CX Pro. Fantastic machine. The ultimate performing machines. Whichever model you choose, the world's best-selling excavator loaders are ideal for owner-operators, local authorities and plant hire across any application. Yeah. And Dan says, Garvin, that's hurling you're thinking about. Well, they're very similar, aren't they? It's another sport that I don't understand the rules of. Let me take Dan off the screen very, very quickly because we've got two more films to play you and then it's time for the monologue. So brace yourself, buckle up. I'm going to tell you all about Dynaset in a second, but Jim Turner, back on the backhoe, says, I suggested that JCB offer either setup so people could have what they wanted. I also said it could be done as an option for a few £100 extra, but was shot down, saying it'll cost a lot more than that for the outer option. I don't see how as an inner or outer will have the same amount of steel and work in it. Same amount of steel and work in it. All goes with my model of modular machines that you order in the configuration you require. I did. I agree. Be ad verbatim, says Peter McKenna. Sorry, Mark, had to back up my first paragraph about JCB backhoe as you chuckled under your breath when mentioning the excavator. I'm still not convinced. It's called a backhoe loader. I realise this is merely semantics, but it's called a backhoe loader. It's a backhoe and a loader. It's not an excavator loader. And I realise it says that in the text, but we call it a backhoe for a reason. Big difference. Rugby is 20 plus stone men running at you to get the ball, hurling you, hit it with the ash stick. Okay. I think we'll have to change Peter's name on the show too. Peter, copy and paste McKenna. Oh, fighting talk. But, well, I think we are about due to change some names as well. I may get around to that at some point today. See if I can update those a little bit. Dynaset. We featured them here on the show before, and they do really useful stuff, but unless you actually get to see all that they do, it's they make the nozzles for our dust suppression systems and stuff like that. And it's easy to dismiss them as widgets. There's more to them than meets the eye, as I'm about to prove to you.
At Dynaset, we transform the power of your working machine into groundbreaking solutions that boost the productivity of mobile machinery worldwide. As a global leader in hydraulic generators, power washers, and compressors, we help industries, from small-scale vehicles to heavy machinery, harness the power of innovation to achieve more. Since our founding, Dynaset has been a pioneer in improving the productivity of our customers' machines. We specialize in converting the power of your working machine into electricity, high-pressure water, compressed air, magnet power, vibration, power boosting, and vacuum. This expertise is grounded in decades of experience and collaboration with machine brands worldwide, ensuring seamless integration with any machinery. Our pioneering spirit is driven by a deep understanding of machine power. It's not just about technology, it's about delivering solutions that empower our customers to take their operations to the next level. Every Dynaset product is a testament to finished craftsmanship. Designed and manufactured in our state-of-the-art facilities, we ensure that each piece of equipment meets the highest standards of quality and reliability. Compact, powerful, and easy to install, our equipment offers the best power-to-size ratio in the market. Our skilled personnel meticulously test and adjust every product to meet the unique needs of each customer. From the drawing board to final adjustments, we're committed to excellence. Harnessing the power of the sun, our solar plant significantly reduces our carbon footprint while powering our operations with clean, renewable energy. This investment reflects our belief in sustainable growth, enabling us to manufacture world-class equipment while minimizing our impact on the planet. Dynaset's rapidly growing dealer network spans the globe, ensuring that our solutions reach industries in every corner of the world. Our goal is to build lasting relationships with our dealers and customers. We've even dedicated resources to educating our partners and making knowledge sharing a cornerstone of our business. Dynaset's story is rooted in family values and a vision for sustainable, long-term growth. As a family-owned business, we are proud of our heritage, our people, and our values, which guide every decision we make. With a solid financial foundation, we've built a modern, innovative company that continues to grow while staying true to its Finnish roots. At Dynaset, we believe in creating technology that not only powers industries but also inspires. By partnering with Dynaset, you join a company that is committed to innovation, collaboration, and a shared vision for a better future. Partner with us to unlock the true potential of your machinery. Visit our website to learn more about our products, our people, and the cutting-edge solutions we bring to industries worldwide. Dynaset, partner of your machine.
Do love the Finns. They do things very, very well, but do it very, very quietly. Garvin says, yeah, Dynaset, definitely a company that flies under the radar despite their expertise and quality. It's one of those things, and I've got a prime example of this. I went to see Ardennes, the French attachment manufacturer, and they produce a thing called the Ardennes Jet. So imagine a pulverizer, a concrete crusher, and it's got dust suppression built into it, but the dust suppression only works while the hydraulics are under load. So when it starts crunching things, it sprays water. But when it's just open, it's not. So it's saving water, but it's keeping the dust in. Absolutely fantastic. I remember thinking that's a really, really smart idea. Turns out that was a Dynaset. And when you scratch the surface of so many of these things, turns out Dynaset are behind some really, really smart things. Garvin says 100% going to slow walk Bauma, take time to see all these types of products. Do you know one of the best things that we did? I'm trying to remember what year it was. Doesn't matter. But myself and Fred did a Bauma. We went in on a Sunday afternoon. Went in on Sunday afternoon before the show even started. And rather than going to the Liebherr stand or the Caterpillar stand, because we were due to do that anyway, we just went and had a look at the other stuff. The stuff that we don't often have time to look at. And there's some fantastic stuff there. There really is. Garvin just said Arden stand at Intermat was really good. Yeah, you'd expect it. It was in their backyard after all. And Demoliciones. I've probably done the wrong accent there. That looks a bit Spanish to me, but they've just joined us over on Instagram as well. When I was a kid, I think this is a fart. A fart was known as a trump. The American language isn't too far out. Yes, I remember a trump. We don't have enough CO2. Why is the world hell-bent on lowering it? It takes a lot of harmful chemicals to produce solar panels, and it generates CO2. Peter McKenna on the other side says, wow, amazing those solar panels. Companies nowadays should all have them. There's a fair few that have. There is a fair few that have now. No, I think that's addressed everything. We've got one more film for you, which is our looking ahead to Bauma, which means that Jim gets to hear his favourite tune that I've still yet to identify the name of. Sounds Canadian. Tell you all about it. Yes, obviously we featured Volvo quite extensively last week, and they are gearing up for Bauma 2025. It'd be fantastic to have them back. Bauma 2022, not quite the same without them. This is what they're going to be doing. Peter says, looks a beast of a show this year. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. It is. It's a bit kid in a candy store, Bauma. It really is. For all that I say about it, it is a huge slog. It's very demanding physically because it's such a lot of steps that you have to rack up. You're constantly on the move, constantly on the go. It is the world's biggest construction equipment exhibition. It's the world's biggest exhibition, full stop. But it is unbelievably good. If you do get a chance, even if you can catch a cheap flight in and out of Munich for a day and get along to see it, I would recommend it very, very highly. Peter McKenna says more electric machines on show than ever before. Yes, I think they will be. I'm expecting a few more bits and pieces hydrogen-wise, but I think it's going to be very much an electric show. Dan Cullen says, I prefer an engine sound as you listen to it, not a fan. All the electrics, when the lithium runs out, no one will want an electric vehicle. Long way off. And I know we've all got our own personal feelings on all of that. So, yes, that's about it for the main part of this morning show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second, and then I'm going to leap gazelle like over into my morning monologue. If you can't stick around for that, please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Hope to see you again very soon. Tomorrow, ideally. Tomorrow. I'm going to address this very quickly. Gary says, will this be your last Bauma or have you got more in you? And I know what you're referring to. 2016, I waved goodbye to to Bauma because I'd been ill. I'd been ill, and I didn't think I had it in me. I feel as fit as a flea now. I mean, I keep beating around the bush. I'm 60 years old in 20 odd days or whatever it is. If I feel like this in 3 years, 6 years, 9 years time, I can see no good reason why I won't be there. And let's face it, even if I'm not there in a working capacity, it's where all my mates are. Apart from the ones that are on here, obviously. So yes, I've got another one in me, at least, I would say. So yes, morning monologue time. Let me take Gary off the screen now that I've addressed my impending doom. Like this. On the 10th of May 2016, my beloved West Ham United played Manchester United in their last ever match at the ground they'd called home since 1904. The bowling ground was scheduled for demolition, and the club, controversially, was relocating a mile or two up the road to the London Stadium in Stratford. Excuse me. In the 80th minute of the game, with the teams level at 2-2, West Ham's Kiwi defender Winston Reid rose majestically to head home the winning goal. That detail's got nothing to do with the story whatsoever. I just wanted to remind all the Manchester United fans out there. That was the 2,398th game and the final game ever played at that ground. The stadium was demolished by Rye Demolition just a few months later. Despite concerns over the club's relocation, the fan base remained loyal. In fact, home attendance at the London Stadium is way larger today than at the old ground. But the impact upon local businesses around the old ground was devastating. The shops that sold West Ham hats, scarves and replica shirts died through lack of footfall and because they couldn't afford the rent by the new stadium. The numerous burger vans that gave the approach to the bowling ground its unique aroma couldn't afford the licences at the London Stadium. They too folded. Most devastating of all, to me at least, Nathan's Pie and Eels in Barking Road closed its doors 2 years after West Ham moved away. That traditional old pie and mash shop had been in the same family for more than 80 years, and it was an integral part of my countless visits to the ground. I've been thinking about that a lot recently in relation to the number of demolition and construction companies that have fallen or been forced out of business in the last few years. When a demolition or construction company folds, we all talk about the impact upon the workforce and on the supply chain. Depending upon the circumstances of the collapse, we occasionally spare a thought for the directors who have just seen their life's work crumble before their eyes. But the fallout from such a collapse is felt way beyond the employees and their immediate supply chain. In fact, like the West Ham departure, it can rip the very soul out of a local community. In some instances, a demolition or construction company is the biggest local employer. It's not unusual for those companies to employ fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, cousins, nieces, nephews, and grandchildren. A company collapse could impact multiple generations of the same family. Even if that's not the case, a collapse can undermine a local town or village. The cafe just up the road where workers and directors often met for breakfast or a mid-morning coffee suddenly sees its customer base gone. The local newsagent where workers stop off for energy drinks, Mars bars and packs of cigarettes can suddenly go hours without seeing a single customer. The local hairdresser where workers popped in for a trim. The little fabrication firm that had fixed and refurbished buckets. The tyre and exhaust garage down the end of the street that kept both company and private vehicles roadworthy. The sign writer that always did the company's machines and vehicles, the hydraulic hose company, the printing company that supplied all the company's stationery, and the pub where workers and managers would meet on a Friday night to toast a week's work well done. And think about this on a larger scale. When ISG folded, so did numerous regional offices. In all likelihood, it took with it dozens or even hundreds of subcontractors. Let me do that again. In all likelihood, it took with it dozens or even hundreds of subcontractors, each of whom made a vital contribution to their local area. ISG and others like it were the epicenter of the collapse, but the tremors may have been felt miles away, and even those that survived the initial quake may ultimately succumb to the aftershocks. At the time of writing this, the UK construction company has lost around 5,000 companies of various sizes in the past 12 months or so. We know that because each company failure is logged and lamented. What those records don't show are the countless nameless and blameless victims that were left behind when construction left town. When we talk about the collapse or failure of a demolition or construction company, we do so in isolation, like it's just that company, its employees, and maybe its direct supply chain that are impacted. In truth, that silent collapse might be felt for miles around, and many of those impacted will never, ever recover. Here endeth my lesson for the day. What have we got in the chat? What have we got? Peter McKenna says, the morning whinge. Yes, it is. It is the morning whinge. I am going to do one a bit more upbeat tomorrow. I've got one in mind. I haven't written it down yet, but I've got one in mind. Mick, clearly enjoying the West Ham part of the content. Shut up, for God's sake. Mick, I realise, but the very fact that you said God's sake is so welcome. That was one of my father's many expressions of desperation and exasperation with me. Oh, for God's sake. He used to say that a lot. Mark, every time you mention pie and mash, a drawer near a shop, Goddard's, 249 miles away, 4.5 hours, yes. Still wish I was driving trucks. I would be so much closer to one. Yeah, listen, I've been dropping hints. My family is planning to do some sort of thing, for my birthday. I'd be quite happy to go to Manses, Towerbridge Road. That'll do me nicely. Mark's morning monologue. I could yet rename it. At least we own our own ground and pay for the security match days. Yeah. I've been there. I've been there. If it were down to birthright, I would be a Millwall supporter. Both my grandfathers, Millwall supporters. My dad went off sideways and became a Leeds supporter. Bit of a fair weather fan, I think. He was, excuse me. He was one of those that was a supporter of Leeds at their very height. Billy Bremner and Alan Clark and Paul Madeley and Mick Jones and Billy Bremner and Gary Sprake. See, I remember me stuff. Now, what's this all about? Garvin says, haha, they are Irish kids. I don't know what that refers to. It was called The Spark, I think, kind of a youth club type venture or something. I don't know what that's referring to. Garvin, please tell me. Ben Vogel Construction has been named as a sector with the most... Ben Vogel. Construction has been named the sector with the most firms facing critical financial pressure, with almost 7,000 businesses at risk of bankruptcy. If you would like to know more about that, go over to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news. We actually did a very, very in-depth piece on this about this time last week, actually. It's called Red Flag for Construction, I think. So what Sunday are we going for pie and mash? Mark, me, you and Mick. But it's a good question. Are we... is that possible? Pie and mash shops never used to be open on a Sunday. I don't know what the score is now. Best deal West Ham ever done, and yet still not spend it on new players. We've bought a few. We've brought in a new striker on loan who has scored 1 goal in 17 games for Brighton and can't even get in their first team. So that's a good one. Yeah, less said about that, all the better. Yes, going back to the main crux of what I was talking about. As I say, we do tend to think about those company collapses in isolation. For example, I will just finish this off just to bring it all full circle. That what I was just talking about with the West Ham ground being demolished and then people going out of business by some weird kind of irony. Rye Demolition, who actually did the demolition at the bowling ground, Upton Park, they folded about this time last year. So I am kind of know what I'm talking about. I think there is actually like a YouTube documentary about what happened when West Ham moved away, and it was only a couple of miles, but they've moved to Stratford. It was all part of the Olympic legacy and everything else. So the ground rent there next door to Westfield and stuff is very expensive. So all the burger vans that we used to know and love, I've caught some of my finest food poisoning at the burger vans at the old Upton Park, all gone. All gone. As I say, the shops that were selling hats and scarves, the stalls that were selling the same, those weird double-ended scarves, which I think are an abomination. They sold all of those, all gone. And when you think about a demolition company, a demolition company moves away. We've just mentioned Riot going out of business. The number of people that might impact. What have you got working? A decent-sized demolition company. What have you got working at the head office? 40, 50, 60 people, all of whom stop off and buy their fags, their cans of drink. May pop to the local sandwich shop at lunchtime, may pop to the local coffee shop on their way in, go and get their hair cut because it's too late when they get home, so they use the local hairdressers. All of those things are kind of a knock-on effect, and it's all overlooked. It's all overlooked. We tend to get excited. When Rye or Scrib or somebody, we talk about the people that supplied them with equipment, the plant hirers and the scaffolders and the various sort of people in the supply chain. But it goes way, way, way beyond that. It really does, even down to, as I say, the local garage or the people that fix the buckets and stuff like that. There might be a fabrication company who do almost like a blacksmith outlet. They do everything, but they also dabble in fixing buckets and refurbing buckets. They are going to be hit as well. I'm ready when you guys are. Anyone else up for meeting up? Well, I certainly am. Mick says it's open 11 to 2:45 on Sundays. Is it? Well, you say what you will about the dangers of progress, but as far as I'm concerned, that is, that's a high watermark in human development. The fact that pie and mash shops are now open on a Sunday. Dan says it's all a vicious cycle. Everyone trying to cut prices to get the job. It's ridiculous, and developers don't care no matter how long you did business. Yeah, and listen, I'm not going to spout forth about this, but we do the same thing every single time. The race to the bottom. A race to the bottom. Things start to take a dive or start to take a turn for the worse. What do? Rather than focusing on quality, being more selective who you work with, trying to diversify, deliver more value in some way or another, cut the price. And as a result of you cutting the price, your nearest competitor will have to cut their price, probably below yours, and then their nearest competitor will have to cut below theirs, and it's a race to the bottom, time and time again. Peter McKenna says, fancy being able to go shopping and plug your car in and get back to a fully charged car. That's the way forward, isn't it? Companies should not be allowed to undercut the next man. It's unbelievable how construction affects everything. That is going to be, I'll tell you now, I'm working on a podcast. We've already had one abortive attempt. I'm hoping to do another stab at it this time, sometime this week. And the name of the podcast is going to be Blue Collar Heroes. And it is basically to celebrate you people, not just you, but those, the people that actually go out, those in the hard hats and the site boots and stuff, Blue Collar Heroes. Because it strikes me, we have a day a year, deservedly so, don't get me wrong, but we here in the UK, we have a day where we remember those killed in battle. The Americans have their Veterans Day. We banged saucepans for NHS nurses, and we're very, very quick to applaud first responders. First responders with the Washington DC plane crash and subsequent one in Philadelphia and stuff. We're very good at doing that. But think about the contribution that the construction industry makes. And yet there is no day to remember not just those that have died, but those who have contributed to demolition. When you look back, I can tell you that St. Paul's Cathedral was designed by Sir Christopher Wren. It's an astonishing building. It really, if you've never been to St. Paul's Cathedral, take an hour out, go and pay it a visit. It's absolutely incredible. But who the fuck remembers who built it? So Christopher Wren with his fancy wig and his drawings, they're fantastic, great idea. But who were the men that actually built that? Who were the men that built the Gherkin and the Shard and the walkie-talkie and Wembley Stadium and so on down the line? Who were those people? Forgotten in the midst of time. Mick says, not surprised though, SG. We were doing Brentford and Ireland building a few years ago, got slung off. There were rumours then. Yeah. Funnily enough, I did something. I think I wrote something because this would have been pre live stream. I wrote something about Carillion going down the tubes, and I'll come back to Gary in a second. I wrote something about that, and I literally had a phone call from somebody saying, like the piece, blah, 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 ISG will be next. And I reckon that was 5 years ago. So, yeah, the writing was very much on the wall. Gary Muirhead says, still can't believe that Carillion actually folded. How many did they take down with them? Hundreds, if not thousands. Have you got a shed that I can camp in, Mark? I've got a shed, but I wouldn't put you in there, Peter. You deserve better than that. I wouldn't let my dog sleep in there. It's a shed that we inherited and dilapidated. If I described it as dilapidated, I'd be doing a disservice to dilapidated. Peter says people in construction are blinkered. Every business in every sector undercut each other. That's how business works. The problem is that the traditional peaks and troughs. When things are going well, workers put their wages up, equipment manufacturers put up the price of their machines, contractors put up their prices, and everything's going nice. We get to the top, and then we all start cutting. And as a result of that cutting, the fall, the peak, or the trough after the peak, the low after the high is deeper than it needs to be. Mick says, undercutting has been going on for years. The CMA grabbed some, but it's still going on. Yeah. And there's another point, and I haven't actually put pen to paper yet, but it will soon be. In fact, about a month and a half's time, it will be 2 years since the CMA handed down its 60 million quid worth of fines. 2 years, and nothing's changed really. We've got another anniversary, even worse than that one. Where are we? 20 days. It'll be 9 years since Didcot. So working towards that as well. Used to be a race to the top and be a valuable asset, but now no two fucks given. Start company today, hand you millions tomorrow, buy new equipment, pay your employees. Yeah. I was in the walkie-talkie and 22 Bishopsgate on piling a basement dig. I was at 22 Bishopsgate when they were breaking out what had been there before, funnily enough. It's amazing how road haulage affects everything. Cleaners, pickers and packers, forklift drivers, reporters, newsreaders, nurses, doctors, etc. Everyone makes the country work. Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. But I would listen, I would say exactly the same, Peter, about obviously you're a haulage kind of guy. It's overlooked. The contribution made by those people. And the only time anybody ever actually takes any notice of haulage, do you remember when we've had shortage of fuel? And it was, we're going to run out of things. We can't get our midwinter fucking strawberries because of the roads and stuff. Yeah, that's the contribution that these people make. Dan's mate Ender has just joined us over on Instagram. Dan says, worked in Sea Containers Hotel next to Oxford Tower. Exactly the same as the haulage business, Mark says. Peter. Mick says, I've always thought the Wembley was one of the worst cases. The talk that went on about that still reverberates in some quarters. Ain't that the truth? Yeah. In fact, there were two. There was that one, and the other one, which was mentioned a lot in dispatches, shall I say, was White Hart Lane, the refurb of White Hart Lane. I got a lot of rumours about that. Could never substantiate any of them, but I got a lot of rumours of that. Craic at CSW Groundworks just popped up over on Instagram. He sometimes pops up here. He's popped up over there. Morning, Craic. How you doing, mate? Hope you're all fit and well. Anyway, that's enough of today. That's enough. I'm writing off Monday as of now. And not much to tell you. All I would say is Wednesday's show will need to be maximum 55 minutes because at 11 o'clock, so 11 minutes ago, I need to jump on a Zoom call. I didn't choose the time. I was told about it. So, yes, Wednesday, it will be brief and to the point. Peter McKenna says, enjoy your day and week. Also, see you all again. Same place, same time tomorrow. And hashtag Andy's Man Club. Andy's Man Club. Funnily enough, something came up, maybe related to the fact that you mentioned it before. Something came up to me up on my Instagram, not my Instagram, on my LinkedIn the other day about Andy's Man Club. As far as I know, there's not. I know a mate of mine attends one in Sussex, so I don't know, half an hour, maybe 40 minutes away from me. As far as I know, we don't have one particularly locally, but I would go and check it out. I mean, I'm doing okay. Don't get me wrong. Apart from concerns over in-laws and my wife running around like a chicken with his head cut off, I'm doing okay. Mentally, I'm doing okay. But I would like to go and check one out because I too would like to recommend Andy's Man Club. Jim Turner says best start Wednesday at 9:30. I have thought about it. Dan says, see you tomorrow, possibly. Things getting quiet again here. Oh, don't want that, do you? And Peter McKenna, hashtag demolition news. Yes, indeed. That'll do us. I'm going to leave you with Dan's point. Have a great day, guys. Yes, have a great day, guys. Have a great day, Dan. I'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. because it's Tuesday and that's what I do. Until then, everybody, have a fine and splendid day. See you soon.